everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us on today's webinar, Why I Chose Franklin. My name is Catherine Angelotti and I represent Franklin University Switzerland admissions. I also have two students with me today, so really I want to highlight them and their experiences as to, choosing a university, why Franklin, and what that was like. I have both Aurora, who's a political science major and senior here, or fourth year, and then also Majda, who's in her third year international management and was a transfer student actually. So hopefully we can get some wonderful advice from them as well. Just briefly before we're diving in, wanted to talk about Franklin itself. We are located in Lugano, Switzerland, which is southern Switzerland, the only Italian-speaking canton in the country. You can see this beautiful lake we have here. Our campus just sits up on the hill above it. And we're about 2 hours south of Zurich, 2.5 hours south of Zurich, and 1 hour north of Milan, Italy. So a lot of our students are crossing the border, in Italy to explore as well. At a glance, we are a small institution. We have about 300 students on campus. That means that your average class size is going to be anywhere from 10 to 20 students in total. And you have the opportunity to really get to know your professors and other students as well, as our student to faculty ratio is at 8:1. They're teaching the classes, not a student advisor or assistant, anything like that. And this is something we'll talk a little bit about, as I think that's important to think about when you're thinking about where you want to go and where you want to take your academic career. We also have over 61 nationalities represented. That is counted by passports. 50% of our students are coming from North America. That includes, the US, Canada, Mexico. And then Europe is probably our next largest, with about 30% of our students coming from there. And then, on from there as well. We're going to talk a little bit also about liberal arts, but just to give a quick look, liberal arts as a institution is a degree that gives you a lot of flexibility. Our goal is that you're going to be able to formulate your arguments, communicate well, solve problems. We tend to be writing heavy. At Franklin, we also want you to explore, to get to know the other students around the world as well. So you will have your major, which we can talk about, which will be, kind of the majority of your courses, but also some other core requirements as well. With that, though, I do want to hear from our students. So I'm actually going to ask first, Aurora, can you talk about, how did you find out about Franklin, and did you know what you wanted to study when you were researching, I guess, your school options?
So when I found out about Franklin, actually, it was because an admissions representative came to my high school, and they were just talking about the academic travel and the small class sizes, and it all sounded really appealing. So I figured, why not just apply? Originally, I wanted to do psychology, but then I ended up taking a political science class my first semester, and then I switched to the poli-sci major, and I really love that major. And since then, I decided to add like a business minor, which then I switched to a history minor. So it's all possible.
I love that. And, that really, kind of drives home something that's different about us than, some of the other European universities is when you're applying to the School of, business, let's say, then you have to finish with business. You can't switch it around. Something that's beautiful about a liberal arts degree in this American style of teaching is you can come in, you can take a class, you love it, and you decide to change and, really explore your interests from there, because I don't think many people at, 16, 17 know exactly what it is they want to do. So thank you for sharing that. Majda, you transferred in. Where did you start your studies, and why did you decide to join us here at Franklin?
Well, I'm from Morocco, so after college, I decided to go to Al Akhawain University. It's an American liberal arts university in Morocco, where I declared my major for communication studies. And then later on, I realized I really wanted to go abroad, be independent, be on my own, because my parents were like 5 minutes away. And that summer, I did an internship for Bosch where I got to pick the department I wanted to work for, which was marketing. And that's how I fell in love with marketing. So I did a tour in Switzerland, and honestly, Franklin, like, without a doubt, like, caught my eye, and I applied, and that's when I declared my major for international management with an emphasis in marketing, and I have no regrets.
Awesome. Thank you. So the students who, we're talking to today may be thinking, how can I, decide where I want to go? So I'm hoping that you both can share with me, what were the top 3 things that you prioritized when you were researching universities?
Well, most definitely, like, location for me was the top. Do you have any?
I think when it came down to it, I was considering price and how much scholarships I got offered versus loans I would need to take out, stuff like that. That was a really big factor.
Definitely, finance was definitely a factor, and also the major, whether they had my major and what I could do with it at the end when I graduated.
I think also one more thing for me was accessibility to the staff. And because Franklin is such a small school, your class could only have 8 students in it, and it's really easy to communicate with your professor then. And also all the other staff members in the Office of Student Life, admissions, everything, they're all really accessible.
No, definitely, even student activities. When I applied for Franklin, I saw all these events going on, and it really caught my eye. It helps you really, like, engage with the community and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you both for sharing that with us, with me rather. And you've also kind of spoken about, why Franklin had stood out to you. Something, Majda, that you had mentioned towards the, beginning, or no, maybe Aurora, maybe you mentioned this, was academic travel. So I just want to touch on that briefly. Let me share my screen again here. Alrighty. So academic travel is actually a requirement. It's a course alongside all of your other courses. What's different about this is about midway through each semester, all of your other classes are going to be put on pause, and you will travel for, on average about 2 weeks with your other classmates to whatever location it is that this course is surrounding. So this could be something like, history in Sicily or in Japan. This could be something like international relations, where you're going through Geneva, Brussels, Paris, and visiting some of the large world organizations, for example. It could be environmental science, where you're studying the impacts of tourism on the environment in Iceland. And this is something, again, it is part of your tuition, apart from maybe one course each semester that you do not have to choose, but can choose to go on, that maybe goes a little further, that asks for a small supplement. But for the most part, it is part of your tuition. And as I mentioned, a requirement, of course, as well. And our goal is to really open up and, really bring in that experiential learning, and allow you to not only read about these things in the books, but go and see it and experience it, and talk to it, talk to people who were there. Again, if it's something that had to do with history or international relations, or environmental studies, you want to be able to talk to the people who are on the ground, taking part of these things. We had an entrepreneurship travel this semester, so you want to be able to talk to the people who are starting businesses. What are their experiences? What are they doing? What does that look like? And this is definitely something that a lot of our students really appreciate, I think, in their times. And maybe you both shared that was something that stood out to you. I think that a lot of institutions maybe have some type of travel incorporated into their curriculum, but this is truly a signature program that is different than anything that I've seen anywhere elsewhere. Apart from just the travel, we do try to bring in that experiential learning piece into other courses as well. For example, I know that the environmental science courses yesterday were at the local where they did like a field trip, I guess you could say, yesterday. I know that some of the other classes try and do that as well. Aurora, Majda, is there anything else that you want to say about academic travel, or, what has been special about that for you, or what has been your most favorite memories?
I think academic travel at Franklin's very unique. It's what sets Franklin apart from all the other universities, and it's one of their main assets or values. And for me, I think it was St. Moritz. I went last year for a filming project where we got to explore St. Moritz as well as create a film for a professor, and it was complete success. And I really loved it.
Yes, I think academic travel is very unique because you take what you're learning in the classroom and you get to kind of see it come to life in wherever you go. For example, my first semester, I went to Prague and I was studying Prague literature and just seeing how history was reflected in literature and like the architecture, how literature plays a really important role. And then more recently, this semester, actually, I went to Georgia, the country, not the state in the United States. It was about economic and political transition. And it was really cool to see and meet so many people and experience Georgian culture because it was something I didn't even know, I didn't know much about it before. So it's really interesting to just learn new things and go places you would never otherwise go unless you were a part of academic travel.
And also it's interesting. It's unique because also you're in Switzerland. And I know a lot of students that come to Europe, they also want to explore other parts of Europe, France, Italy, and academic travel gives you that chance to actually do it and apply some knowledge on the country.
Thank you. Thank you. I totally agree. Not only am I an admissions counselor, but I'm also a Franklin alum. I graduated in 2011. So I can say that a lot of the experiences that I was able to have are really eye-opening, as these ladies shared. And you form some really great memories as well from that and really wonderful experiences as well. Thank you. So I wanted to, touch on, what are some of the things that that you may consider when you're looking at, deciding where you want to go. And some of these things we've talked about. So one is the university size. We've mentioned that Franklin is a small place and why that is good for, the three of us, or why we appreciated having that small, the interaction with the professors, the ability to see them, maybe even see them, while you're walking around downtown. They know your name, they know what you're interested in, they know where you're coming from. This is not something that all students, appreciate. So one thing I ask you to consider when you're looking at where you want to go is, do you want to be part of that small community where the professors and the other students will know who you are? The opportunity for that one-on-one mentorship with the faculty and the staff, as well, as we had mentioned. That community feeling. So we are a residential campus and the majority of our students do live on campus. Aurora is actually one of our resident assistants, meaning she's helping to cultivate that community as well for the students, which is really great. And we want to, help you through this time in your lives. And we talked a bit about the experiential learning, of course, that's something that's important to us. Not everywhere are you going to get to actually live and breathe what it is you're studying. And so that's something that's very important to us. Ladies, can you just touch on community a bit? What is it that you enjoy about the Franklin community, maybe even what's difficult at times with the small community?
I think another thing that Franklin really does well is it allows you to take a language course. And I chose Italian, Aurora also chose Italian, and it really helps you when getting around, in Serengo and Switzerland. You can choose the German language, so you can go to Zurich and speak German, or you can go to Geneva and take a French course, and it really helps boost your language skills.
I think speaking to the community on campus as well, it's really nice because it is a small campus. So if you run into someone you don't know, it's completely normal to just be like, hi, what's your name? That's kind of how I met Gita. I just kind of ran into her and was like, hello. So I think that's really exciting because even though it's a small school, you get to meet so many new people from so many different places.
Yeah. And for a community at Franklin, you meet so many people with different backgrounds, culture, and it's amazing. We're planning on doing international culture night, international food night. So you get to try out this bunch of food, it brings Franklin community really together.
Thank you. I think that I've noticed a lot of the events anyways are very food focused. So for any, people who are interested in trying other foods or love cooking or learning about culture, I think food's always a great way of sharing that. Thank you. So Majda also mentioned the travel opportunities. We are in Lugano and we are well connected with airports, with trains. This has been easy or not as easy in this past few years, but that's something definitely that our students appreciate. The ease on the weekends on their own with friends, or to go and try and do some traveling on their own as well. Switzerland is a safe country, and it's easy to then, explore from here, from your home here in Switzerland. It's easy to explore as well. Something you might want to consider though is if you're coming from further, do you want to be further from your home? If you're coming, Aurora's coming from the United States, so some, people need to consider how they'll feel if they're missing their birthday from their family or other big events. Next week here in the United States, they're celebrating Thanksgiving. So some students might be feeling like, you're going to actually have class while you're here. We don't have it off. It's not something that is celebrated here. So, how's that going to make you feel? Sometimes you might feel a little nostalgia or a little bit sad in the first year, but usually you then, we do a Thanksgiving dinner here for our students on campus from the US, again, a food event. But, just think about those types of things. It's not going to be as easy perhaps to just fly home or catch the train home, again, depending on where you're coming from. For our European students, of course, it's a little bit easier.
You definitely have to learn to adapt. And the first week you're here, of course, you'll cry, you'll be homesick. I think we all have had that experience, but eventually, you make friends, you feel a bit more at home at Franklin, and that's why we call it the Franklin family.
I think that, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think the school also does a really good job of trying to make it kind of feel like home away from home, because we celebrate so many different holidays from different places. And I was here for a year and a half straight because of COVID, and I was able to spend Christmas with people and like have different celebrations, and it made everything okay.
And we're doing a Thanksgiving
Yes.
dinner next week. So,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think you find your home as well. And I think that, with the support, as you said, whether it's, from, Franklin itself or just from your other friends that you're making, I think that's really important. And I also appreciate, Majda, that you brought up that you will feel homesick. And I think something that a lot of students, at least that we hear when they arrive, is they think they're the only one. And you're not the only one. So it's okay to be nervous as well about, it's a huge change. It's a huge change in your, life as well. Being 18, 19, 17, even, arriving here for the first time, it's a huge change. So just know that there's other people going through that with you.
Yeah, so something. So also like orientation, like that's a big thing here. And you come and you think, oh, how am I going to make friends? Like, what do I do? And orientation takes care of that. We provide so many events throughout the week of orientation that gets you to meet new people. And by the end of the week, you'll have a load of friends. I guarantee it.
Good. I can say that, I did my orientation over 10 years ago, longer, like 15 years ago. And still some of the people who I met during that orientation week are some of my closest friends. So I can attest to it that is also long standing as well. So really appreciate you calling that out. And just, whether it is that you want to be involved in all of these events, and that's how you're meeting people, or just on the street and one-to-one, like as you had mentioned, you don't have to be an extrovert, you don't have to join all the events, but you're able to find your tribe, while you're here. You're able to, whether it's in a class, a lot of people come back from academic travel with new friends as well. So just stick with us for a little bit, wherever it is that you go, and you'll begin to form those relationships. Another thing to consider is, costs. As both of the ladies mentioned today, this is important. So Franklin does offer merit scholarships as well as financial aid. So definitely mark that you're, interested in that. I will say we don't offer any fully funded scholarships. So I encourage you to take a look through not only our website, where we do list not only the costs that are, required, like tuition or university fees, or even what the on-campus housing is like, but also estimates for your textbooks, for travel to and from campus. There's other things that you need to think about, feeding yourself outside of, just the week or whatever that looks like. So between ours and between if you're looking at other universities, take a look, go through what can you and your family contribute to your education, what loans, what scholarships do you need to apply for, and kind of tally it all up. I definitely encourage you to, apply and see what kind of a merit scholarship you can get, which is renewable all 4 years as long as you're keeping up those grades, and then also apply for financial aid, and then you can make your decision as to whether or not this is a place that's affordable for you. And this goes for other places as well. Whether or not that this is something that you can sustain or not. So definitely think about the costs when you're looking at that. Ladies,
on that, I think also considering what your tuition includes, because when you consider Franklin, your tuition does include that academic travel class minus in case you take a travel that has a supplemental fee, but it's usually not too expensive.
Also includes meal plan.
Yeah, it includes your first year meal plan, it's a very good meal plan. It includes like really great health insurance if you need like this week of health insurance, and definitely that traveling aspect, because traveling on your own can get a little pricey. So when you go with a class, it kind of feels like a nice little break, but you are paying for it with your tuition. So it's something to consider.
No, that's a great point. And also I was going to mention, at least I know when I was a student, there's also so many ways within Europe, there's lots of student discounts, as well as, as students, you can go to Ponte Tresa, you can cross the border and go, grocery shopping in Italy, or, which stores offer, more budget friendly, grocery shopping and things like that. Are there any tips you have for budget friendly food or fun in Lugano?
No, you definitely have like the expensive stores like Manor and those, and then you have like the cheap stores, Co-op, Micro. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm able to like stick to my budget, especially with grocery shopping, and especially your first year, that meal plan really helps you out trying to figure out how much groceries cost, like easing your way into that, I would say. And then as you learn how to cook more, you can.
Another cool thing, like a lot of students do here at Franklin, is to budget. They go to Italy.
Yep.
And they buy their groceries. So that's a cool thing to be like, I call my mom and I'm like, I'm in Italy doing grocery shopping.
Yeah, it's super fun. Just there's like a train that goes directly from our station to the station right next to the border. You just walk over, go to the store, come back. Everything is so much cheaper there. It's crazy to think about, but that's another good option that a lot of people utilize.
And also you have on-campus jobs offered, LOS positions that also pay cash. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, so like twice a semester you get the cash for whatever jobs you're working, and
there's
then
tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
And then it doesn't really feel like you're spending money because it's not coming out of your bank account.
Exactly.
Which is always good. Yeah, speaking of that, we also tend to put together a list of students who want to work that the community really looks forward, and that's things like babysitting, tutoring, other event type work. So there are options of more things that you can do as well. Speaking of location, I just wanted to also mention, so I think I wanted to get started on this. Lugano is, of course, a smaller place, very accessible, but think about, is that someplace you want to be, or do you want to be in a bigger city like London, Paris, Rome, New York, whatever it is, and kind of what you want to have accessible. So I think that maybe students go to Milan from here if they're looking for that big city, life, but definitely just something to consider, where we're a smaller community, but again, maybe that feels a little bit safer. You get more comfortable in that this is your home and this is your space. So again, just something to think about. Our language of instruction is English. I think that this is a huge opportunity or a huge benefit of an American university in general, but for those of you who English is not your native language or not your first language, definitely a skill that will continue to benefit you as you're looking for jobs, grad school, and opportunities in graduation as well. So speaking about graduation or what's next, ladies, can you tell us where you hope your Franklin degree will take you, or what's next?
Well, I can go first. I'm hoping my Franklin degree takes me to get my master's. I'm hoping to get my master's. I don't know if I want to get it at Franklin or, abroad, but that's my hope for the future after my degree.
For me, as I get closer to graduation, I keep thinking out different options. My main one has been, I've been prepping to apply to law school. So that's a big goal of mine. I've already taken like the LSAT and the requirements for law school in the US. But also other options are like going to work for the Peace Corps or possibly attending Franklin's grad school too, to kind of get that international degree once again.
Fantastic. Thank you, ladies. So I think, that we don't want to take away, too much time. The last thing I would just hope that you could share is, what advice do you have for students who, if you can remember just a few years ago, if you were in their shoes, what advice do you have for students as they're choosing their university path and where they want to go next?
Maybe just keep like a level head, because even though this is a big step, it's not the end of the world if you don't get into that dream school or get the perfect scholarship, because you're going to end up where you need to be, and just sort of trust in the process. I mean, yes, it's important to like submit your applications and everything like that and get informed, but you don't have to spend too much time stressing over everything.
Exactly. I think another thing is a lot of students come in being like, oh, this major, I don't know if I want this major. You don't have to choose your major once you enter a university. You have, maybe till junior year, you figure it out. Maybe you want to change from business to psychology.
Yeah,
like
you have
never
so much
know.
time.
Exactly.
All great advice. Basically, what I'm hearing is, take it day by day, do your research, relax a little bit. You don't have to have it all figured out, and just kind of trust. So wonderful advice. Thank you, ladies, very much for all of your tips. For anybody who's watching, really happy to answer questions. Both of our students, as well as other students who are perhaps either from a place where you're from, have same experiences or similar experiences to where you're coming from, region of the world, and you'd like to talk to another student or share other interests, happy to put you in touch. Otherwise, please do reach out to the Office of Admissions. Again, my name is Catherine. I will share my email here on the screen briefly so that we can maybe not. I will. Where is it? Here we go. I'll share my email with you here in case you want to, reach out, say hello. I'm happy to put you in touch with one of the other admissions counselors or a student. So thank you for your time. Thank you, ladies, for your time. And
We also have a Uni Buddy if anyone needs questions or.
Absolutely. So UniBuddy is on our website where you can chat with our students. And this, Majda is part of that, Aurora is part of that. We have other students, again, coming from different places, coming from different, studying different things. So if you want to, go to our website and chat with any of our students without talking to me, that's absolutely fine as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies. And we hope
Thank you.